and welcome back to Discovering Dataflakes with me, Johan Brodfeldt. Today we're going to create the resource view. Last week we created the resource template, and now we are going to make a copy of those and make a resource view, and then we're going to separate so that we get the templates in the template view and the resources in the resource view, so we can make those two pieces working. And what we're going to do is more or less take a copy of the Zoom template and the list template and just call them Zoom list. Wait, there we go. And then we're going into the dashboard because we want to add a resource, and I actually would like to have the template down on tile 3. Resource, and then take this one down here. And this one should be the list. And just call them resource. So now we should be able to go into the resource list. And that should be called resource list. And let's see. Let's see if there's this template anywhere else here. Just replace all of them. Resource Zoom. Okay. Now let's see if we can get it to run. No. Perhaps, yeah, okay. We also need to include the, okay. App source then. I suppose we want to include those sources here as well. There you go. So now we can click in, and in our resource list we now see the Linux, and if we go to our template list we see the Linux. So we should now separate so that we don't have so we only see the resources in here, and we should also make sure that the resources, if we go into the resource table and view the table, you can see it's not set to be table. We're going to fix that as well in a while, but right now we're manually going to set them to resources, but they will still show up in both of these lists. So what we need to do is add a constraint. And in the resource list, in the data dictionary, we set up on constraint. And here we want to constrain on resource dot is template equals to 0. And in the resource template list, we want a similar constraint, but here this template should be 1. So now let's see what's happening. If we go to template list, we see them. If we go to the resource list, we don't see them. So now we might want to add a resource. So we go in here, and we also want to be able to select the type of resource. And for that, we're going to add, let's see where we are. Oh, resource zoom. And we have the resource name, and then we want to create a new object that is going to be a form. Let's stop this. Palette, web form, data entry, and let's call that resource templates, and this should have an entry item of resource dot template ID. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, we want to put the label on top. Perhaps label position top. That looks better. And we might want to rename this one. It says form. PS label, where are you? Yeah, it's easier to go in here and just set PS label to template. And while we're at it, we can just rewrite that name of the resource. Yeah. Now we should be able to go in and create a new resource. And since this is a template ID, we can go into the database and see if it's what template it is. We call this the Argus system. So it's a system, which means that we want a system template. So let's call this Argus server instead. And I think that the number 2 was a Windows server, right? And then we could add some label here. Test text 1, 2, 3. Tab out and save it. So now we have this resource here, and if we go into templates, we do not see the templates. But what if we want to create a new template? So we go in and try that, and let's add a router. Save, and now it says cannot refine record, and that's because we have constrained this list, and it's having the resource templates in memory. So we need to, when we save this one in our resource, we need to add a procedure update. And when we're updating, we need to make sure that we have one in our resource dot is template. So when we save something in this particular view, it's always going to set the resource template to 1. So let's see if that works. But first, we're going to have a look in the database, resource table, and refresh. Yeah, there we have the router. It has a 0. So we delete that so we can try to add it again. Run. Add new router. Save. And now we have the router in the list of resources. And we have the resources where the actual server is. And I want to see what type of resource it is as well. So we want to add a column here. See how we do that. Resource list. So we want to add a new column in the list. And it's going to be template ID, resource template. But no, that was the thing is, using the template ID here is not very useful, because then we just get a number here. We want the actual name of the resource. So let's see, procedure onset calculated value. And now we want to clear the resource, but not the resource, because I think that's going to cause some problems. But let's try see what's happening. Move resource. Yeah, this is going to be messed up. So we need child, and we need to use that as well here. Or open child resource. There we go. Because we're going to use the child resource. Move resource dot template ID to child resource dot ID. Find equal child resource by index 1, and then move the child resource dot name to s value, and s value is sent to this onset calculate value with a byref, so it will just return that and update the list. Let's see how that works. Resources, no, it still says 2. Just have a quick look in our column. That should work. We probably don't need an entry item for this, or cannot have the entry item, because that's going to override the onset calculate value. Yeah, so now we can see that it's a Windows server. Next time we're going to fix this template dropdown, so we can, when we add it, actually select a template. But I think this is enough for this video, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.